Hello, so I'm at a place called Joshua's Harvest Store in Ottery St Mary, which is opposite Otter Garden Nurseries. And Ottery St Mary's is east of Exeter. It's between Exeter and Honiton. And it's a lovely summer's evening, as you can see. Well, autumn evening. And the reason I've come here is to have a look at some of these trees and to talk about a particular apple. So you can see that they very carefully train these trees into what are called cordons. So that's like a diagonal trunk that is supported by wires, so they're easy to harvest. Quite a traditional way of doing it, and they always used to do quite traditional ciders here, like single variety ciders of varieties that were more difficult to find elsewhere. So the one I want to talk to you about today, I couldn't find the cider for this one that they normally do. They're having a bit of a shuffle around in there at the moment, which is unfortunate, but this is Brown's apple. So Brown's apple is a classic Devon Sharp cider apple. It makes obviously a sharp cider, but it has quite a fruity, aromatic quality to it. So within cider making, there's been a focus really on bittersweet apples, particularly Somerset bittersweet apples. And there are other apples that people make cider with, and it does make a different kind of cider really. So lots of cider makers shy away from sharps because obviously they don't want their cider to taste kind of vinegary, but that's really something else. That's really caused by oxidation. So if you know what you're doing, you can make a good cider with these, but you can also blend these with sweeter apples. You can even use like eating apples with these, and ideally you want some sweets and some bittersweets in with these. But yeah, it does make a nice cider, and it's something that I feel's a bit overlooked recently, or well, I say recently, last few decades. So I wanted to talk about identifying this apple. So it's quite a large apple for a cider apple. I'd class it as a medium to large apple, I think. This one's a bit smaller. And it's got this shape, which is, I think it's called oblate, or maybe flattened conical. So basically, if you take the stalk to the calyx as being the upright, it's wider than it is tall. So that's what an oblate apple is. So it's kind of like it's been flattened. And it's quite a big, you get plenty of juice out of that. And the main feature is the flushing. So the flushing is the red kind of stripes that you can see on here. So on this one, it's probably about 90% flushed, and it's quite a dark flush in places. This one has got the least flushing of the ones I've got here. So you can see I don't know if it's too sunny. Maybe if I move into the shade a bit. Yeah, that's better. So it's got like a yellowy green, quite waxy background, and then the flushing on this one's about 50%. I'd say about 2/3 is normal, your average. And then you can see it's got like some russet around the stem. It's called the stem basin. Tiny bit of russet there. So let's look at some of the others. So you can see it's got quite a thick stalk. So these are quite weighty apples, and they need quite a good stalk to hold them up. So you can see that one there. So I believe they were bred at a place called Hill's Nursery, and that's the Staverton area near Totnes. So that's on the River Dart. So for those of you not that familiar with this area, You've got a place called Dartmoor, which is on the southwest peninsula of the UK. It's like a big kind of foot sticking out. And just back from the toe is a bit that dips down. And in the middle of that is some higher land called Dartmoor. And the River Dart comes off of Dartmoor. And Staverton was on the River Dart. And I guess being called Hills Nursery, it was a hilly place maybe. Or it could just be that they were called, that was the surname of whoever ran it. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so between Exeter and Plymouth basically.